U.S. Customs and Border Protection is on track to set a record this year for migrant apprehensions at the U.S. Mexico border. Recent data shows more than 2 million migrants have been apprehended and processed since last August. That includes more than 200,000 migrant encounters in the last month. Manuel Bajorquez reports.
Yet another bus carrying migrants arrived in New York City from Texas, a multi-day journey that for many started here. El Paso, where Border Patrol says more than 1,000 migrants are crossing into the area a day. To ensure they're no longer sleeping in the streets, the city set up this migrant welcome center.
You're getting an average of 400 people a day?
Yes, sir. Right. And that's going to be increasing shortly.
So you don't see this slowing down at this point?
At this point, we're just managing the numbers that they come in.
The asylum seekers here are mostly from Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba, which lack diplomatic ties with the U.S. and therefore no quick way to return them. Marielba Atencio is trying to get to New York with her 3-year-old son.
There's no work, not enough money. You think you would die?
Here, they get help reaching their next destination, some seeing it laid out for the first time.
Pero está viendo qué largo va a ser el viaje. You're seeing how long it's going to take. To ease the crowding, El Paso has sent nearly 60 buses with migrants north, but the city says it is closely coordinating that with local leaders and organizations at those destinations to ensure they are ready to receive those migrants. That's different from some GOP governors who are accused of sending migrants with little to no warning. John?
Manuel Bajorquez in El Paso, Texas. Thank you. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez. Camilo, what's driving up these numbers of migrant encounters?
Well, one of the main reasons, John, is that there has been a seismic demographic shift along the U.S. Mexico border over the past year and a half. Before the coronavirus pandemic, the vast majority of migrants encountered at the U.S. Mexico border were either from Mexico or Central America's Northern Triangle, the countries of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. But over the past year and a half, we have seen record numbers of Venezuelans, Cubans, Nicaraguans, Colombians, Haitians, and other nationalities journey to the U.S.-Mexico border. And unlike the countries of Central America and Mexico, which accept large numbers of U.S. deportations, the U.S. has a hard time deporting people to some of these countries because of logistical and diplomatic reasons. So this is one of the main reasons that we have seen now 2 million migrant encounters in fiscal year 2022. But I would be remiss, John, if I did not underscore that 1 million of those migrant encounters this fiscal year resulted in migrants being rapidly expelled to Mexico or to their home country without being allowed to seek asylum under Title 42. This is a public health law that both the Biden and Trump administrations have used to rapidly expel hundreds and thousands of migrants during the pandemic. And that number also includes a large, significant number of migrants who are crossing multiple times and are being counted multiple times.
So what you're doing is being careful to explain how to kind of cut up this number so that we understand it.
Yes.
So some portion are those who are expelled quickly, which is different than those who were here for asylum, which is a much longer process.
Correct.
And we'll get to that in a minute because it's a part of the Martha's Vineyard story. And then the others you're saying they are expelled and then they come back.
Some of them are coming back. The ones who are being expelled by land to Mexico, typically single adult men from Mexico who are generally looking for work opportunities here in the U.S.
So the one group you mentioned from Venezuela, Cuba, because of diplomatic relations and they are asylum seekers, they stay in the United States longer.
Yes, because the U.S. does not have a way to deport them to their home countries. The Department of Homeland Security generally has to release them so they can continue their asylum cases in the U.S., especially families with children, because the Biden administration ended long-term detention, immigration detention, that is, of migrant children.
And so these longer cases are, some number of them were sent to Martha's Vineyard.
Correct.
By the governor of Florida. What's the latest on that situation?
Well, we understand that officials in Massachusetts transported this group of about 50 Venezuelan asylum seekers to Joint Base Cape Cod. That is a military installation on the U.S. mainland. We understand that Governor Charlie Baker, a Republican, activated the National Guard in the state to assist these migrants. And we also understand that at Joint Base Cape Cod, these migrants are receiving shelter, food, services, and medical treatment while they stay there. But again, that stay in the military installation is supposed to be temporary, John. I spoke to one of the lawyers who has been offering legal counsel to these migrants, and she told me that many of them are expected to stay in Massachusetts, but unlike Central American migrants who cross the U.S. Mexico border, many of these Venezuelans don't have family or friends here, an established community here, and so it may fall on NGOs and the state to find long-term housing for them.
Final question, Camilo, is that the governor of Florida says he's going to keep doing this. So is that legal? And what does a governor of another state that is receiving these planes at the behest of the Florida governor, what can they do, if anything, to stop him?
Yeah, well, it's not illegal for states to offer transportation to migrants released from federal custody if it is voluntary. However, there could be criminal or civil liability if these migrants were coerced or forced or misled as part of this transportation effort. According to attorneys who I have interviewed, there could be fraudulent information that has been provided. And this has been alleged at least in the Martha's Vineyard case, where attorneys interviewing these migrants have said that their clients were misled, that they were told that they were going to Boston and not Martha's Vineyard, that they were told that they would be rather sent to a place with jobs and refugee resettlement benefits. But these are asylum seekers. They're not traditional refugees, so they are not eligible for the benefits that traditional refugees are eligible for, which include cash assistance and other long-term services.
So you can fly them, you just can't lie about why you're doing it.
Correct.
Okay, Camilo, thanks so much.
Thank you, John.
Really helpful.